Every day, I check the energetic weather just as much as I check the physical weather that's going on outside. I pay attention to what the sun is doing, the Schumann resonance, the planetary alignments, and how the themes of these planets might be showing up. I pay attention to how these things might affect our bodies. And right now, with the way the planets are lined up, one, it's really, really cool because they are in a pretty interesting alignment right now, especially in Sagittarius signs. Lilith and Chiron are in some interesting key places too, such as Chiron squaring the sun, which offers an identity healing moment. Chiron is squaring Mercury, which is like a truth that is going to sting, probably where that identity healing moment comes in. There's also Chiron square Venus, where love exposes the wound, right? Where we mirror to each other where we might be placing our own limitations, right? Or somebody else's behavior might trigger us. Chiron's also square Mars, which means this pain, this wound that gets activated is something that is likely going to drive us to take some sort of action. So, and Chiron square Jupiter, which is a belief recalibration point. So this indicates to me that there's a huge pull in the energies towards visibility. Being visible, a lot of us learned these tricks and strategies that we have for shrinking ourselves, for hiding, for reducing our light in order to survive and keep ourselves safe. So these energies that are pulling us towards visibility are asking us to address those old wounds around safety. It's offering us choice points where we can choose our past reactions or a new way forward, right? And then it offers us the opportunity to refine our beliefs around our choices. And all a belief is a thought that we've repeated to ourselves over and over again. So let me give you an example of this for me. When I was a toddler, one of my earliest memories is of when I was a toddler. My parents were in their early 20s, so early 20-year-olds. The behavior that I'm about to describe really has nothing to do with my parents as parents. It has to do with their maturity and ability to regulate their own lives at 20, which we all know 20-year-olds, right? That is an age of life that is primed for these kinds of choices. So I really just want to stay away from even focusing on what they were doing because they were in their own thing. They were not parenting in that moment, and yet I absorbed a lesson. So my parents were having an argument with all of the 20-year-old gusto and wisdom that comes with that. The way I remember this scene is I was sitting in the dark in the living room, and I can remember all the evidence of fighting, right? And at that point in time, I remembered being surprised but slightly amused because I was watching objects come out of the kitchen. But then here's where the lessons came in for me. And these lessons I didn't just take as situational, I turned them into identity structures. So my mother came and grabbed me, pulled me in front of her, and used me as a shield in this argument against my dad, my stepdad. He removed me from the argument, took me to my room, told me I'd be okay. This happened twice before I was finally removed and left out of their argument. So they were in their own space doing their own things, but I internalized a message in that. One, I determined which one of my parents was safety and which one was not. I also learned that I was a shield, which means I was a sacrifice. And I learned later, through later behaviors, that the one that was my hero in that moment was someone whose attention I had to chase in the everyday. And so these became identity rules for me. I shaped my environments around these choices. So, and it's a good one because I'm starting to clear up some blockages in me, even just speaking about it. So, in being visible, right, for me, my visibility means stepping into that role, generally according to my pattern of being a shield for someone else. It means being the one who takes the brunt, right? And so there's a great deal of fear for me in that, especially if I'm not ready to stand in that position of power, because I have to be in a mental state to stand as someone's shield. Right? So I have to look at my relationships and where I'm being self-sacrificing. I have to look at where, in order to avoid that role or to avoid pain, being the one being attacked, not the shield, the one on the other side of the shield, how have I shrunk myself and made myself invisible? Because when it comes at me, I don't protect myself. I only stand as a shield for others. Because that situation didn't teach me to protect myself. It taught me someone was going to come and pull me out, and it taught me that someone else would stand me in front of them. So I learned a pretty helpless role in that entire situation. Invisibility for me means opening myself up to harm or being ready to go to battle and go to war. Am I ready for that? So these are all safety issues. You know, they're not love issues. They're safety issues and ways that I operate in my relationships and maintain invisibility. How am I not speaking up to not rock the boat because I'm afraid of what the other person's response is going to be? Ways that I am shaping my identity around other people's perceptions. And because when I'm making myself visible, then that is going to invite other people's opinions of me. And in the past, I had the tendency of taking those opinions and making them character traits of myself, right? And it doesn't matter if somebody else agrees with my word or not. That is their story. That is their opportunity to learn about themselves. I am just supposed to learn about myself and how those responses land in me. Are they stirring up trauma? Then there's something in me that I can look at and find other ways to work with. Is it landing pretty smoothly? Like, am I able to maintain my center with what is going on and allow other people to have their own conversations with Source? These are where the choice and refinement part come in visibility, because these are going to happen. People, when you stand in your truth and you say, I am not comfortable with this, I am comfortable with this. You know what? I've been allowing this behavior before, but it's really painful to me. So now I'm going to set a boundary and stop it. That's going to cause backlash. Other people are used to the ways we've been. They're used to our normal response. And everybody wants to maintain the status quo, because status quo we associate with safety, security, predictability. Ego loves it when everybody plays their part. So when you start speaking from your truth, from what your body is telling you about what it authentically needs in any given moment, right? If you're standing and tolerating the behavior of somebody aimed at you, while your thoughts are also trash talking you and your stomach is flipping, that is invisibility. That is invisibility. That is a failure to protect. And while my mother may have done that to me when I was a child in that moment, and others may have done that down the road, I don't get that excuse, because I am the adult in my life now. I am in charge of speaking up when something is wrong for me, when somebody is treating me poorly, when a situation is unsafe. I am responsible for speaking up and taking care of myself. And that is where the refinement of the belief and the choice comes in. That's the entirety of the energies right now. So I really just wanted to come on and say that it is okay to not be making leaps if it doesn't feel okay right now. These visibility wounds are driving pains in our character, right? So if it is something that is difficult to address in one big step, find ways, and you don't have to make the choice right now. You just have to make the choice to improve on it. Make the choice to make a change that better serves you in your safety and security in those moments. And the universe will rise to meet you in it, and then you take the next one. That's what I wanted to get at, is that it doesn't have to be a giant leap. Sometimes a leap of faith is just a very small moment of awareness and being able to call it for what it is. There is this person, place, or situation in my life where I have an unstated truth about how it is affecting me, or I have a thought stream in my mind that I am allowing to run the show, and it is sabotaging my efforts to grow. Just naming them can be the step that you need to take. And it might not be any further right now, because not all of the energies are geared up towards movement right now. Most of them are taking those small steps to stand up for yourself more and allowing yourself to refine your beliefs where you are at, right? Not from a place of pushing, just enough pressure to cause honest reflection, not enough pressure to force you to move. If you are putting yourself into a state of anxiety over addressing this, you're traumatizing yourself there too. So I just wanted to just take a minute and say that's kind of what we're being asked to do, is look at those ways we are still shrinking, where we're choosing fear over love for ourselves, and being able to kind of look at our beliefs in those thought streams and see where the small places are that we can make adjustments. And then what are we willing to adjust right now? What small change am I willing to do? If I am struggling with the motivation in the morning to get up and do the things I need to do, maybe the small change is just putting on my shoes. You know, if I am struggling to hold myself to a commitment of an activity, maybe I gather all the tools and materials for that activity and I set it up the night before, so that the only thing I need to do in the moment of doing it is to rise to it, right? So I would call that staging. You stage the environment for your success. I do lots of things like this for myself, especially when I'm setting a new goal. I set my environments up for my success. So like for my filming, I keep the stand, the light, the mic, everything is with me. And because I also am coping with ADHD, it out of sight, out of mind. So I keep it somewhere where I'm constantly handling or having to move or adjust those materials, basically where my phone is, you know, right on my desk, right in my space, so that throughout the day it is front and center in my mind. I'm not allowing myself the opportunity to shrink and become invisible by setting my environment up so it cues me and keeps me accountable to myself. These are just small things. But if you're still at a point where it is triggering a significant amount of fear for you to take the steps in your path towards visibility, go back to the drawing board, deal with those internally before you apply the pressure to yourself to actually take action on it. A lot of the times the action is just reevaluation within yourself so that you can see where you really stand within that topic. It's highly possible that as we've been going through these last purging energies, what you thought you were doing as far as your purpose or your mission or your calling might have shifted a little bit. And so now what you had been gearing up for or planning might not feel like it fits right anymore. And that isn't a call to go backwards or a sign that the direction wasn't right, right? Because our direction isn't about the circumstances. Our direction is our path with our soul. Maybe that just needs a little bit of retuning, recalibrating with where you're standing now, because you are not the same person you were a week ago on Christmas, back at Halloween. So being able to be fluid with the energies that are coming and just being willing to take that next small step, no matter how small it is. Because if you are rising to meet you in every now moment, then you are being visible. Because the only person that we're really hiding from or trying to hide from, and where the self-betrayal comes from, is ourselves. And we cannot hide from ourselves. So this is an accountability calling to the watcher within that knows whether we are taking those strides and those steps, whether we are living in alignment with what our gifts and our skills and our heart is pulling us towards. So that's really all I have for this video today. I know that visibility is a hard one, because there's a lot around safety and security wrapped up in that. And I think that there are a lot of ways in our relationships that this is a root cause, right? Because if you're not willing to be visible in your relationships, then how can the field of love, the field of relationship, be providing you with the relationships that match your frequency, your behavior, and your choices? So anyway, I love you. I hope that helps. And let's just keep the conversation going. We're doing wonderful things, and you can see it in the world. I know it looks like a bushfire out there, but the reason that it looks like a bushfire is because visibility is what the energies are calling forth now. And Chiron square Mercury, truth stings, but it frees. So anyway, don't run. It's not time to run anymore. It is just time to look in the mirror. Just take a minute. I'm pretty sure that if you really, really look, and you look at how far you've come, even just in the last month, you're going to find something that's going to motivate you to keep going. The changes aren't big. It's not asking you to make huge ones. Just that next small step. One small step, one physical, concrete change that shifts how you see yourself. That's all you need. Love you.